Hey,
What up?
my name is Tim Daniel. His name is Ben Brown. And this is Late Night Reds, live on the riverfront.
What's good, family?
I had to get used to now that you're here full time, making sure I have you in my Paul Heyman introduction.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I
yeah,
had to throw it back to the click.
I loved it. I loved it. I also love that like only 60% of our audience understands that reference. So
I know.
yeah. Yeah, we are waiting. We were planned to be joined by Jumbo Diaz today on the show. I did get word that he is planning on joining us, so any minute whenever he hops on, we'll get him on here. But before we get into all of our topics of discussion, we do have to let you know this week's episode of Late Night Reds is brought to you by SeatGeek. As we know, SeatGeek makes the confusion of buying and selling tickets very, very simplistic. With a very strong scoring system, green means good, red means bad, 0 to 10. And if you are thinking about getting tickets to see the Reds this week, I don't know, like Friday in Washington, because you haven't seen a City Connect Friday yet, and you want to see those swag black jerseys in person, you could use the Riverfront for your first purchase to get $20 off. That's Riverfront, all one word, at SeatGeek, and boom, you are there like swimwear. The National Series after a long road trip, the boys are gonna be excited to see the home crowd. But Ben, we are still waiting on Jumbo to come and hang out with us.
Absolutely.
But I also later in the show we will be joined by my good buddy Joey Ricotta of On Tap Sports, a Chicago-based podcast network, and he's going to come and talk about the Cubs and what's going on with them as we get ready for that big series. But Ben,
Yes, sir.
while we wait for our guest, let's talk about going to Los Angeles and taking the season series from the Dodgers, taking 4 of 6 on the year and 2 of 3 this weekend. And you can make the case on Saturday it should have been 3 in a row because
Yes.
Luke Weaver was awesome. And
Yes, he
for
was.
once, we can say Luke Weaver was awesome. Literally, the Max Muncy was 2 for 3 with 2 home runs and 3 RBI. The rest of their offense was 0 for 24.
Wild.
So Weaver earned the win, like for once he didn't get run support. So I'm kind of curious there. Pat, what's up? I saw you were on at 3:00 today and you left a message in the chat at 3:10 that says, I'm ready. Were you tailgating the episode today?
I love it.
I do. He's like, Ben's here. I got to show him some love since Ben's full time now.
Yes, sir.
So perfect. Friday, I mean, they jump out. First bat of the game, Ellie hits a triple. Steer has the big home run that gives them the 6-2 lead. I know they fight back. They're the Dodgers. They're going to do that.
Absolutely. Good baseball club.
Yeah, absolutely. And then today, Nelly. How about today? I know that was wild. So I guess they're still waiting on Kershaw to get back in a few things. But a 9-0 win. Ellie goes 4 for 5, hits a homer, which was so funny. Did you see the clip of the home run where the Dodgers fans are like behind the home plate chanting overrated and he just hits a bomb?
I did. Yeah, that popped up on my Twitter feed or whatever it's called now, X or whatever. On my X feed, whatever Musk is doing with the thing. But yeah, it's popped up on my feed, man, and it was incredible. Just watch that, and those dudes were chanting that, and I mean, he just exploded a ball.
Yeah,
which was incredible. Which he hits balls very hard, very far.
Yes, he does. And then Matt McClain, of course, goes deep. Then Joey Votto joins in on the fun and crushes a ball. A no doubter at that.
Yes.
Holy mackerel! But
what about the bullpen celebration?
that
was insane.
Awesome. Oh man, yeah. What was that? I haven't seen them do that all year, but I loved it. I love turkey.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Had a turkey sandwich. They call that Deli de la Cruz. If that is not your fantasy baseball team name, Pat, I'm going to be very, very upset.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah,
I like that.
Is. And then Graham Ashcraft again, man, like pitching back to form, getting more ground ball outs. I think I don't know if I've seen a Red starter get that many ground ball outs like that.
Yeah.
But he's been unbelievable, especially since the break. But Bam, it's the Dodgers. This is a team who just won a World Series a couple years ago. They're always loading on talent. They're always getting guys on the team. And to go in there and take 2-3 there at Chavez Ravine,
Yeah. That's not an easy thing to do, man.
very
And
impressive.
like you said, the series four of six in the series, 2 or 3 again in Chavez Ravine. Like that's a good baseball team that they just beat 2 out of 3 and shut them out on the go home series on the go home game. So I mean, it's definitely a positive thing. And to see Ashcraft just stay true to form,
Mhm.
that's just a very, very positive thing because, and even more positive than that, let's go back to Luke Weaver, the one that we got let get away. That is a positive sign that Luke Weaver is able to hold that lineup to technically 1 run. I mean, if you take away Matt Muncy's 2 bombs, like he held that lineup to 1 run. Like
Yeah.
that's impressive. Like that tells us that he has the ability and capability to be able to do that start in, start out. So you're getting that from him. Ashcraft has just been a stud. It just further lets you know that those guys are getting better. And we said this last week. Help is on the way. I mean,
Yeah.
it's coming. So it's just good to see, and it's good to see that even after the series in Milwaukee, which I'm not calling a bust. We talked about this last week. We said we had to get 1 of 3, and we did,
Yeah.
which that's good. And that was a positive thing. But to go out of that series and then come back, know you're going to LA and get 2 of 3, and should have got all 3 of them. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, especially what did you say last week? It was did you say was I'm gonna misquote you. Was it respectfully naive? Was what you
Yeah,
said? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
that's like the perfect example.
yeah, they just don't know any. They don't know any better. I mean, they're young guys, and we say that about we say that coaching high school and being in high school. We say that about high school kids and young kids all the time. Like they just don't know no better. You just go out and play and perform because it's the game they love and they love their teammates and they just go out and do what they do. And that's what the Reds did. They put the Brewers behind them, and then they started fresh in LA and got 2 or 3, and that's a huge. People don't realize that's a huge series for them. I mean, and to be able to go out there and beat that team, like you said, a couple years removed from a World Series, and that roster doesn't have a whole lot of turnover on it. So I mean, it's still almost the same roster. So it's that's a great baseball team that they just went out there and beat them in their on their home stadium.
You could probably make the case that they're better than the team that won the World Series.
Yeah, I would tend to agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Jumbo is a little late, so I'm sending a text out to see if he's hopping on. I haven't heard anything just yet. Hopefully, things still go as planned, but if not, we will keep this rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, why are you done? I'm really liking these Ellie De La Cruz puns. I would cast a Spelly De La Cruz. I like that. Good friend from up north, Joey Gaditza, made the point that Brandon Williamson could be great in the pen and be kind of your spot starter.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah,
if I get somebody.
I was gonna say I think we talked about that too.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. We're gonna get into here in a bit, and I forgot to make a slide on it, but C. Trent had an update today this week about like every pitcher in the system that's been injured is now in some sort of activity. So that's good news.
Yeah.
Seeing Hunter Green, the report's been he's been thrown off a mound. He's looking like he's gonna be back mid to late August. Lodolo's throwing, but they're not 100% certain what the game plan is. I love Nick Lodolo. I would not count on seeing him pitch again for the team this year. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be kind of a guy you see probably go kind of move there as well.
Yeah.
So let's see. TJ Antone is pitching. Had a really good first outing for the Arizona League Reds. Not so much a second one.
Yeah.
And then Vladimir Gutierrez is starting. Do you remember Vladimir Gutierrez plays for the Reds? He's in the organization.
Wow.
Yeah, with that spider neck tattoo. That's like
yeah, I was going to say the one.
yeah. So that is going to be fascinating. Pat, are you talking about what the Lucas Giolotto, or did they make another trade since we got on air? Apparently the Angels. Pat said the Angels was a good trade. So I'm not on my phone at the moment. But so that's a good sign that reinforcements are on the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to expect from those guys. I mean, TJ Antone has not pitched in the majors in nearly 2 seasons, though he was incredible that 21 year, that rookie year.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he was an awesome setup guy. But yeah, I think so. But, I mean, Hunter's the one obviously you want back the most. And that's going to make, Hunter and Abbott is going to be huge for them, especially if they can
Mm-hmm.
find a way to sneak in the playoffs. And like everyone's asking, including Thomas, about different starters, maybe make a run into the postseason. I had this saved for later in the show, but should we go ahead and do it? Ben, did I lose you? Up, up, up. I think I got you back.
There we go.
All right, we're good. All right. So this is a conversation that's come up the last couple days on the Twitter verse
All
when it comes to the Reds. Are the Reds a fit for Justin Verlander? Has been a conversation that's been hopping around. And this has been a very interesting conversation. So per Jeremy Booth, the Mets are getting aggressive interest from Verlander. The Rangers, Dodgers, Astros. Well, you could probably take the Rangers out of there now. Dodgers, Astros, and Reds are potential landing spots, and Verlander must approve any trade. There's no trade clause. The Reds' ask is said to include 2022 first-round pick Cam Collier. I have said on this show, I love the prospect of what Cam Collier can be in the big leagues. I think he has so much talent. He's a great player, but he's playing in low A Daytona. If that's, a Collier, Jonathan India kind of thing, I'm not against that. If you can go get Justin Verlander, who you're going to have for a year and a half, kind of play that Joey Votto-esque role. I just saw the trade pop up. Okay. So I'll have to look at that here in a second. Play that Joey Votto-esque role for the rotation. For all those young guys that Joey Votto's doing for the lineup. I think that's a win-win. Have him pitch game one, in the playoffs if you make it and you have a game of Great American. I would. I don't know if I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but last I checked, all these prospects are great, but the thing that matters the most is major league wins and losses. So I'm in. I would do it.
I don't even I honestly I don't even hesitate. Like that's it. Like I think that is such a positive get for not only just for our rotation, but for just for the team morale. Like if you got Abbott, you're going into a playoff series, Abbott, Verlander, and Green, like sign me up. Like
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't think that there is any question that what he brings not only to the physical part of being able to pitch, but to the mental aspect of the game. The guy's a World Series champion. He's a Cy Young winner. He's a guy that could only make your staff better by being on it. I think that you have to, if you've got the opportunity to get a Verlander, you've got to do it. I think that's like you said, he's got, what do you say, a year and a half left on his contract. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think I think you have to do it. I think you've got to throw your hat in the ring to try to bring in a guy like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm trying to see if I can find my tweet the other day because I looked up how he's pitched at GABP in his career. Spoiler alert, it's incredible, obviously. But let me check this real quick because the stats were pretty fascinating. Granted, he's pitched majority his whole career minus this tenure with the Mets in the American League, so it's not like he's pitching here every week by any means. But let me see. Okay, so his career at Great American Ballpark. Opponent's batting average with balls in play 244. Opponent OPS 673. 24 strikeouts to 6 walks. And he's only given up 3 home runs at Great American Ballpark.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. I know. That comes with a grain of salt. He pitched the American League with the Tigers and the Astros, so it's not like he was here all the time.
Right.
But, I think a lot of people seem like he's an interest. Thomas Pruitt asked earlier about Blake Snell or Josh Hader. Blake Snell, Yeah, if they can't get Verlander, I'm all in on getting Blake Snell. He's been tremendous since May. I would absolutely love to have him. But Verlander has been freaking Verlander basically
Right.
since yeah. Had a
Right.
couple first bad starts, and then it's
And
been
then
pretty
he's
awesome
Justin
since then.
Verlander.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. So currently he's got an ERA of 3.24. And I expect, he's gonna be pretty awesome. Well, 3.24 going into today.
Yeah.
And you know, this prospect thing is great. You build a foundation. They've done it. Nick Kral's done a fantastic job of that. None of us are going to deny that.
Hmm.
I absolutely love everything he's done. I hate losing Luis Castillo. That part sucks. But
Yeah.
that's the one I would like to have back. Not that I wouldn't want to have, Noelvi Marte by any means, or whoever it
Yeah.
was they got that Seattle trade. But Castillo is the one that that's the one that
Right.
hurts.
Well, especially you look back now, you know what I mean? Putting him in this rotation,
Mm-hmm.
like that's the one where you're like, gosh, dude, if you have him with a healthy Hunter Green and what Abbott has given us now, I mean, like you're sitting in a really good spot.
That's not even to mention what Ashcraft's done since he came back from the
Yeah.
IL. What like Ben Lively and Brandon
Lively's
Williamson are
been
giving
well.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then you
absolutely.
can move Williamson to your long reliever spot starter. Then you can do that and feel comfortable with it if you got 4 or 3 really good starters and 2 solid starters behind them.
Yeah. I think my closing argument on this, and I'm sure we'll talk about it quite a bit through, the next few days, is if anyone's like, I would not go get Justin Verlander or Blake Snell because I don't want to give up prospects. Did we forget Mike Minor pitched about 26 games for the Reds last year?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you guys remember that? I know this year's been really fun, so we've blocked a lot of last year out of our
We blocked.
brains.
Yeah, as Chris said, we blocked a lot of that
But
out.
Mike Minor pitched a lot for the Reds last year.
Well,
So
on top of that too, like we have prospects, and I like I said, I love having the prospects,
sure,
but we've got enough pawn pieces to be able to do things now. Like
yeah,
we've got plenty of prospects. So if we have to move 1 or 2, it's okay. Like I'm okay with that, especially to get a starter. If you get a Blake Snell or a Verlander, and you move a couple of the prospect pieces, like I think you have to do that. I think you
yeah.
have to do that.
Thomas Pruitt also asked about um, Josh Hader, and I love the talent of Josh Hader. So of course I would love to have that guy at our bullpen.
Hmm.
I do not like him a whole lot as a person, from everything that's been shared about him.
Yeah.
Seems like kind of a weird dude. And I think we've had enough of the. Actually, I'm not going to compare it, guys. That's not fair. Okay, we've had enough of the Matt Latoses who are just very fun to be around in the clubhouse, right?
Yeah.
In
Trevor
Reds history.
Bowers.
Well, that's a different story. But yes,
But it's
yes,
sad. I mean, it's the nice, great guys in the clubhouse, fun guys, but it's like that only
yeah,
gets you so far.
yeah. Um,
And something to be said about team chemistry too, right? Like
that's
our team
that's what
chemistry
this team is doing.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
immaculate. Our team chemistry is immaculate. So yeah, there's something to be said for that as well.
Um, One name that's been popping up quite a bit I really like is apparently the Reds are in on is Eduardo Rodriguez from the Tigers. He's
Mm,
been lights out.
yeah,
Would absolutely love to have him. That's another guy where if you can't get Verlander, you can't get Snell. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. So this Angels Rockies deal. Randall Grichuk's a guy that I really thought a lot about for the Reds for next year as a platoon bat. Really, really like him a lot, even though he played for the Cardinals for a long time. But this is a hell of a deal for the Angels. Hey, shocking. The Angels are not trading Shohei Ohtani. Can you believe it?
No, really?
So Randall Grichuk and they got CJ Crone in this trade? Holy moly. For Jake Madden and Mason Albright. They got CJ Crone in this trade.
Wow.
Man, How about the Angels being like, we've got Shohei Ohtani. Maybe we should try to make the playoffs.
Right. Let's
What
make
a
a run at it. Let's make a run at it. Let's see what happens.
what a
You know,
concept.
we got a guy that throws 100 and bats 60 home runs and steals 30 bases. I mean, let's try to build a little bit of something around him.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens, right?
Give him a shot,
Yeah, let's see if he can carry us too.
Yeah. I don't know if they're
So,
getting Trout back or not. I hope they are.
I think they will. I think they
That's right.
will.
You have Mike Trout in our fantasy league, so you keep up with this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think he'll be back. I think they said the thumb was or the wrist was like 6 to 8, maybe. So I mean, you have 6 to 8, and then he'll have a couple rehab starts or stints. So maybe like late August, maybe.
Yeah. So Pat mentioned
If they
Jose Quintana,
hmm
and I like him a lot. Obviously, I think he'd be a good fit. But I laugh at it because if you remember, like when we first started our baseball league, like 12 years ago, everybody like at one point during the season would have Jose Quintana for 2 or 3
yes.
starts because he was like, he's guaranteed 6 or 7 innings. He's gonna
Yep.
give like 2 or 3 runs or less. He's a quality start and 6 strikeouts every time.
Yep.
So everyone would be like, "Oh, Quintana's like a spot starter for me today. Nice spot
Yep.
starter for this guy in
And
5
we would
days."
pick him up every freaking week. Somebody would. I do remember that.
Yeah, but I interrupted. What were you gonna ask?
So with India going on the DL, he's on the 10-day, right?
Yeah.
Are they? Do you think that they'll still try to move him before Tuesday?
So I guess I just saw something right before we started recording, where you mentioned Jerry Dipoto from the Mariners was talking about. I guess they were linked to India, but he doesn't believe he's necessarily available. And that stuff came out earlier in the week, like you talked about, where would they shop India?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's necessarily even the IL stuff that kind of deceived. I think that I think the Reds really don't want to move him unless it's just
Yeah.
something that's just going to really be like we talked about, like one of those top end starters.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly think they like him enough to where they don't want to have to put him in like a situation like going to Detroit.
Right. Yeah.
San Diego, yeah, maybe you can see that situation. The
Yeah.
Mets, that way his dad doesn't have to tape his games and he can watch him play live.
Watch him live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm indifferent about it, man, because like, yeah, I think he makes the most sense to be the guy that is moved, but also I love the heck out of him. Like I absolutely love him.
Yeah.
I think that they're not where they are without him. I know
I
batting wise,
agree.
that's probably not true.
I was going to say the exact same thing though. He has had a lot to do with the mojo of this team.
Yeah.
America's team, Captain America. Like he's had a lot to do with having those young guys rally around that theme and that the Viking hat and the cape. Like he's had a lot to do with a lot of that stuff. So on that sense, like I would hate to see him moved because I do feel like he's a big part of the fabric of this team. The issue will be, getting him at bats and figuring out because, dude, you look at McLean and Ellie in the middle, dude. Like that's just you're talking about 15 years of just solid. It's like when you had Morgan and Concepcion and it's just years of it's just like years of consistency, right? Like you look at it now, of course, baseball is a business, more of a business now than it is, but like you have those guys set for the next at least 10 years if they wanted. I mean, it's your set infield. You've got 2 guys that hit for power and average, 2 guys that can steal bases, 2 guys that can be Gold Glove infielders. Like so, and not that LA can't play third because he can, but
he certainly can.
Right, like that. It's not that you can't play third, but it's like in that sense, you put those 2 in there, you can just set your lineup to those 2 and forget it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't know. The more I watch Ellie play third, the more I'm like, maybe we just keep him there.
And his arm is so strong. Like
Yeah.
he's a guy that if you hit the ball down the line, you're still not going to be safe. Like
Nope.
he's going to throw you out. Like it does not matter. So yeah, it would be cool to see him play third. And he could play it consistently just on pure arm strength and glove ability alone. So it is. I think it can work. I like those two in the middle because I just feel like they've got a special chemistry. Not that India isn't good at second, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, and obviously the Noelvi Marte or whoever between the
yeah,
Marte,
yeah,
Arroyo, Collier group makes the big league team.
yeah.
So that's there too. Um, Leon Phillips made his AAA debut this week,
Oh,
starting.
okay,
He was pretty damn good.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Prospects, man, prospects. See, that's what I'm saying. Like we've got prospects in it, and if we've got to move a few, I think we'll be okay.
hold on. Joey just said Josiah Gray. Did the Reds just get Josiah Gray? Is that what's happening here?
Huh?
Hold on. I'm on the Twitters. Or is it just a name you're throwing out there, Joey? Because this happens every time we record a show, and hey, Tommy Pham's apparently going to get traded.
Who?
Fantasy football slapper Tommy Pham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, I don't see any reports of a Josiah Gray trade, but
I do see Justin Verlander is trending.
Oh, if it says
I
Kate,
I guess the fans gave him a standing ovation today, so they're figuring he ain't gonna be there. And he's got 250 career wins.
Yeah, 251 would be awesome against the Nationals next week.
Man, it sure would be. It would be outstanding.
Have him pitch Friday, so he makes his debut in a City Connect jersey.
Oh, Tim, don't.
All right, we're getting ahead of our skis here. I got to reel it back in. But
now I got to look up City Connect jersey with Verlander on the back of it. Let's see how that looks.
Photoshop it.
Hey, yeah. Let's wish it into existence. Let's do that.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Cardinals real quick because somehow this thing has happened where the world went on the opposite of its pattern, right? Where it tipped upside down. And the Reds are in first place in the Central, and the Cardinals are the team that are cleaning house. So today, the Cardinals make two trades. They trade Jordan Hicks to the Blue Jays to get a couple prospect pitchers. And then they make a deal with the Rangers, which the Rangers just adding everybody. So Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton going to Texas for Takeo Roby, John King, and Thomas Agsy. And first off, like most of when he was on the show a couple weeks ago, this had to happen at some point, right? Like the Cardinals had to be bad at some point. They were due to be stinky.
Yeah.
But also,
heck of a run, though, dude.
Heck of a run.
Heck of a run. Jeez.
Absolutely. Give credit where credit's due. But also, apparently they're not done selling. So, well, Miles Michaelis obviously got suspended this week for throwing at someone at the Cubs. Classy move. And then I guess there's reports that Jack Flaherty is on the market as well. So they said they're not selling Arenado. Obviously, they're not going to move on from Goldschmidt
or Arenado, yeah.
But I guess their idea is kind of like the Reds. They want to kind of do what the Reds did, where they got all these prospects who are just about big league ready, so they can bring them all up at once and try to compete immediately. I don't know if people necessarily understand how hard that is and how lucky the Reds are that this worked out the way it did. But
yeah, you are not lying about that, because sometimes that backfires. The Reds are extremely lucky to be able to play as many rookies as they have.
Yeah.
And have the success they've had, because that has gone the other way a lot of times. So yeah, it's at some point, like you said, the Cardinals were going to have to make these moves and do make these trades and try to run with prospects because they did have just an immaculate run, for the last decade or so. So, to see them have to do this and trade away guys and get prospects and try to rebuild.
You just hate to see it,
Yeah, it's bound. It was bound to happen. It was bound to happen.
Couldn't happen to a
Took
nicer group of
I was gonna
guys.
say it took a little longer than we wanted, but it's finally happening.
Yeah. Just kind of, but I talked about this just on socials. I think I texted to you probably. But if you look at this recent history of Cardinals trades, they have been disastrous. Look at
Mm-hmm.
the Randy Arozarena trade. Look at the Lane Thomas trade. These are awful trades that
Oh yeah,
look terrible for them. Especially because
yeah,
this guy, Randy Arozarena is basically been the face of baseball since the World Baseball Classic. If
yep.
if there wasn't a Shohei Ohtani, and Thomas is unbelievable.
He's
Um,
yeah,
he's just a contact
he's
hitting
been
machine.
yeah, dude, he's been incredible.
They signed Wilson Contreras, who his first day there gets in a presser and says this is a far better organization than the Cubs, and has been garbage since
Guard,
then.
terrible,
Yeah.
terrible.
Well, hey, guess what? He's here.
Hey,
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now to hang out on the show, we got Jumbo Diaz in the building. How are you, my friend?
Hey, how you doing, guy? Good night. How you doing?
Good to see you,
good.
man. Thanks for hanging out with us. I appreciate it.
How is everything? How is everything over there?
We're great. The team's in first place. We're having fun.
Yeah, that's what I saw in the news. I saw they are a really good team right now. We got good talent. John Talent do the right team. Made the Reds in the good position right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're so stoked to have you on. I know I got to know you a little bit in your time here just because of mutual friends. But it's cool to have you here. And when I told people you were coming on the show, the first thing everyone wanted me to ask you about was not, going through the minors as long as you did or any of those things. It was about the Cleveland bullpen baseball incident, where apparently a ball flew. Can you explain this to us?
Yeah, that's like we have a game in Cleveland. I remember Johnny Cueto. He was in the game. They go to the bullpen. Jumbo, get ready. You go to the game. And I threw the pitch to the catcher, and he missed the ball. The ball goes straight to the field. And we had like somebody hitting the ball, like I think double, triple, whatever. I don't remember that thing right, but we got a 2 ball in the game in the baseball field. And that was crazy, like, and we make it out with that ball, and everybody got surprised, and they asking where the ball coming from. That ball coming from the bullpen. I was warming up that time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good times, man. Once again, thank you for coming on. My question to you is being a major league pitcher, and I've always thought this because my kid played baseball. Um, being a reliever and a closer to me is one of the hardest things to do in baseball. How do you mentally prepare yourself to come in and shut down an opposing team for those last 3 outs consistently on a consistent basis, night in and night out? Hopefully, if your team is winning.
Yeah, like when you got that position, when you got that role, like you have to be the zero man or closer. You got to be prepared like 100%, because the other guy tried to get the game to us, like when they started go 7 inning and you got the 8, you got to be like, I say, I got to go do my job because my partner, he throws 7 innings. I want to do my thing, get the game to the closer or whatever. Like, but I'm prepared, like, the best way, like I say, I go over there, like, try to get the first hitter out. You know what I mean? Like, try to throw a strike, attack the hitter. It's the right way to do your job when you have that role. Because if you go, like, make a, make a good pitches, maybe you got paid for that, and I try to have fun when they got that situation. If I got it closer, if I got the 8 inning, I try to go over there. I say I'm the best in the mound. I try to do my thing and help the team win. That's the best way you get ready for do that team.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I the reason why I ask is because like I said, I think that job is the hardest one because everybody knows that you're the guy coming in to close, and most closers have 2, maybe 3 pitches, and they're trying to get people out with those 2 to 3 pitches every single night, or hopefully if your team's winning every single night. So I always think that the closer is the hardest spot, man. It's because you have to be consistent every night. You have to be on.
because like I say, everybody waiting that 3 out for finish the game, go home happy with the win.
Yep.
That you have like 32,000 people in the game waiting for that 27 out. You say, okay, I made it. I made my fan go happy to home, my teammate happy, and that's why you gotta be like 100% focused to do that thing every day. You go in the mouth like, okay, my friend like made the game to get ready for save.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So obviously, one of the cool things about your story is you went through a long time in the minors to get to the big leagues. You're a second round pick, and you went through a few different organizations. But coming to Cincinnati, everything started to come together. We see, you come up through the leagues. You had a great run in AAA Louisville before you get called up. What was it about Cincinnati that kind of clicked where it was, the organization for you that made the most sense and made you get the best out of you to become a big league pitcher?
Like you say, I'm spent like 13 years in the minor league, like waiting for one opportunity to be in the big league, like. And I signed with Cincinnati in 2013, and I do a good job in AAA. And I know got called up that year because I remember that year they go to the playoff. And I tell him to my agent, I want to sign him back with Cincinnati. I think I have opportunity over there. And that year, after the season over, I get back to Dominican and start working hard my body. Like I say, I do my thing. I pitching well. I got to save. I got a hold. I do everything right, but my body not help me a lot at that time. And I say I got to do like something different to show then I can be in the big league. And that's what I do. Like coming in the off season, working hard. My body like drop like 70 pounds when they show up to the spring training. Everybody got surprised. I'm down like up to 347 down to 278 when they go to the spring training. Everybody got surprised. Say, hey, what is Jumbo? I say, I blessed that Jumbo at home. Now I'm skinny Jumbo. And as I make that decision, I feel like more opportunity come to me. Like I go to the spring training, my velocity, I show and then I can compete. And they say, you don't make the team, but I want you to go back to AAA and keep focused. Like the first decision we're gonna make is gonna be you. And I say, okay, I'm a little sad, because I'm doing a good job in the spring training. I don't make the team, but I say I don't want to put my head down because I have my mind every time. Remember, Jumbo, you spend like a lot of years in the minor league. If you spend one more year, nothing happen. Keep working hard, keep my head in front, and I go back to AAA that year and kill the league, like pitching well, like throw hard. Everybody say, what are you doing here? Why you not go to the big league? I say, I waiting for my time. And thank God that opportunity, and I get that call in June 20, 2014, and I say, that's the price I pay, like for being a lot of time in the minor league and waiting for the opportunity. And I want to say thank you to the Red because they trust me and give me the opportunity to be a major league player.
Yeah. So you make your debut against the Blue Jays. You actually face former Red Deoner Navarro as your first big league strikeout, who was like a very nice like slap hitter. Um, Take us to that moment, man, because like you said, you went through so much. Two Tommy Johns, being in the minors as long as you did. You get the call, hey, you're going to Cincinnati tomorrow. The interview with Jim Day is pretty well known when you report to the clubhouse. But man, that moment when they say you're coming in, you're going to get the pitch in that game. What was that like for you?
I tip my heart like go out to my jersey, like my heart really so hard because when the phone ring in the bullpen, they say Jumbo, warm me up, you go to the game. I remember that day, my Lato was the starter, and we faced like Toronto Blue Jays that year. That team they had a lot of Latin players. They had a lot of home runs before the All-Star game. They put some record because they hit like 150 home runs before the All-Star game. And like I've been pitching in minor league, pitching in summer league, pitching winter league, Caribbean series, maybe between like 12,000 people. But the first day when they got called up, we got like 33,000 people in that game. And I'm a little nervous, but I'm feel excited. I'm feel happy because like I made the big league. When I go running to the mouse, I look in the whole stadium and say, Thank you guys. My opportunity I'm waiting for, and the moment I'm waiting is right here, and I feel so happy because my family they proud of me like I proud to myself because I've been working hard at that time for 13 years to get called up to the big league and finally have it that day.
Man, that's awesome. That's really cool. So, in an interview, CC Sabathia, who was a bigger dude like yourself, said he lost all this weight, but he felt like he lost velocity. Now, you said you dropped 70 pounds. Did you feel like that had any effect on your velocity or your pitching ability? Because he said he had to gain the weight back so that he felt like himself. So did you feel that way at all, or were you good with the weight loss and your velocity stayed the same and all that stuff?
When they drop the 70 pound, like my velocity keep like the same, because I'm be like working hard, but I not drop the pound like crazy, like I have a plan. I say, okay, I gotta do my cardio, I gotta do my weight, I gotta do like a lot of agility for drop the pound, but I wanna keep strong. I remember one time when I was with the Dodgers, like at age like 18, 19 years old, they say to me, sorry, they say, we want you to draw some pound, we want you to draw some weight. And they put me like eating healthy. And at that time, my velocity go like from 98, 99 to 90, 89. And I say, I don't feel that good, I don't feel strong. That
Wow.
happened to me when I was young. And I say, if you want to be a pitcher, and I tell him, I don't want to drop my pound and go like 80, 91, and then you say, oh, you not do the thing we want, and we're gonna release you. I say, if you wanna release to me, like renew me like a big dude, but throwing hard, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I'm go back, take my way back, my velocity go back like 98, 99, and I've been pitching in the minor league for a lot of years with my way, like, but I feel I gotta do something to make to the big league because every time pitching in double A, triple A, I put good numbers, but I no got the call because my body not help me at that time. And I say I gotta do something smart, put everything together, draw some pound, working hard, and show them I can be in the mountain, compete in the big league level. And that's what I do in 2013 after the season over in Triple A, and working here in the off season, play winter league with the Toros. And 2014 when they show up to the spring training, like I said before, everybody got surprised because I go bad. Like when they throw my first bullpen, I throw like really hard, and they see Jumbo want to be in the big league, and they give me the opportunity to pitch in the big league with the Cincinnati Red.
So we often hear about like the differences in. So you obviously in your time with the Reds had a couple of years where you pitched with Aroldis, and you often hear about like Aroldis would have the guys who would sit for him, like a Sean Marshall, who was more of like a hit his corners, throw about like have the big breaking ball. But it wasn't often he had the right-hander that would throw 100. Then you bring in the left-hander that throws in 100. So can you talk about like the difficulties you guys gave guys as 8 and 9s when you would come in games and just like, well, I got to get used to this righty throwing 100, and now here comes this lefty throwing 102.
Yeah, for us it's not that hard because we got to go to the mountain. They got to be ready, But I feel like for the hitter, like it's gonna be a little bit difficult, Like when you have like pitcher throw the hard with the both side, like me when they come in sometime the 7 or the 8, and then I already coming like throw so hard, And sometimes we got the pitching in the 7 throw like 92 through 95, but who got like very good breaking pitch. You know what I mean? I remember that time we got like J.J. Hoover, we got like Jonathan Broston, Harold Chapman. We got a lot of guys. We got really good bullpen with the good stuff. And when the hitter, they know they come into the last part of the game, they say the guys coming like Jumbo and Chapman. And I feel great. I feel great because I had that ability to throw the ball hard and do a slider and take the opportunity and do the thing with the Cincinnati Red.
You also had Ricel pitching with you, so that also wasn't fair
Right.
either. So
Ricer is really hard because Ricer, like, he throw like 97 to 100 too, but he throw like different side for the eye,
that slider's nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes he coming like over the top, sometimes he coming on the down, and was crazy. He got like the fastball with movement, and that slider was nasty.
So I do have to ask this, kind of continuing the Chapman conversation, because as a fan who went to so many games in that time frame, ninth inning when Chapman comes out, they play the Rage Against the Machine. He runs out the gate. It was always so cool. What was it like as a player when you just threw the eighth? You're like, you did your job. You go and you're sitting in the dugout now with the rest of the team, and you see him running from center field to the bullpen. What was that like? Kind of an adrenaline rush for you guys too?
Yeah, like I say, when you got the call to the bullpen and you come into the mound and you make your 3 outs, like you say, okay, I do my job, like open the door for the closer, and he gonna come in closer, like that makes us like excited because we do it our job and we're gonna push for them. Okay, I do my job. Now I want my roomie do the job and like finish the game. We go home with the win and the fans go happy to home. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm
Uh,
just I'm just listening, man. It's good stuff. you know.
So I think as someone who played for the Reds in the 2010s, I would not be doing our listeners any service if I didn't ask. Do you have any good stories of playing with Joey Votto?
Your brother, play with your brother is like really fun because I play like when they play AA with the Dodgers. I remember I faced Joey Boro, and I think they was in Chattanooga,
Mhm.
and I faced him, and he gave me a double at that time, long time ago. And a couple years later, he come and play Winter League in Dominican Republic. And then when they signed me with Cincinnati, like I was in the minor league. And my first year when they go to the spring training, big league spring training, I go to the clubhouse, and feel so excited because my first time be in the major league clubhouse was in 2005 with the Dodgers. Like I have like Eric Gagne, Jeff Kane, Matt Kane, Andy LaRoche, a lot of guys at that time. And after, like maybe 10, 14 years, and you go back to the Major League Clubhouse and you stay with Joy Boro, Jay Brew, South Cosar, and all the guys like so excited for the rookie. I played like a lot of years in the minor, but I was the rookie in the big league. And Joy Boro say, Jumbo, uh, you ordering us play baseball. You a rookie in the big league, but you the veteran in the minor league. And he say to me, like feel like a part of the team, like have a fun, like don't worry about anything you need, like let me know. And I'm feel so happy for those guys, like trust me like that, like made me like feel comfortable, like a rookie, and say you be part of the team, feel fine, do whatever you have to do. When you got the call, you do your thing and have a fun, and that made me like more comfortable to do all that stuff when they got the call to the bullpen.
There was one game your rookie here, and I made the mishap when I sent you the questions. Because there was one game. I don't know if you remember it. So you come in, you pitch against St. Louis, and I think it's one of those games where you have to get like I think you threw 2 innings. It
Yeah,
was, and you were lights out. Like I don't, everything was just clicking that game. I'm sure you knew when you were coming through the system, the rivalry of the organizations at that time. But coming into that game, facing those guys, that's when Yachty was a really good hitter, and obviously Pujols is gone by that, but they have the guys like Berkman in that era. What was like, do you remember that game, kind of going through that matchup and kind of getting those guys out perfect like that?
yeah, I remember that game. Like I say that's the best game I have in the big league. Like throw to winning, like get 5 strike out. We got they come in the tie game the night I face like those hitters. I got the first inning. I got fly out to the center field. Billy Hamilton catch the ball like over the
Oh,
wall.
that's right.
Yeah, and then I'm strike out Reynolds and somebody else, and I get back to the next inning and strike out Dominican shortstop Peralta. The other guy in the last hour, I faced like Jadier Molina and strike out him. Like it's like amazing, like face that team like in the first place and in that time it's like it's crazy, like for me like rookie guy, like hitting like 5 strikeout in the big league is like too excited. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's my best game pitch in the big league and in my whole career.
Is that one you kept the game ball from?
Huh?
Is that one you kept the game ball?
Yeah.
Nice. I would
That's
too.
awesome.
Well, my last question I have before we get you out of here, man, we're so happy you joined us. So you had kind of a unique experience now since you've been on the majors. You've pitched in the World Baseball Classic and the Olympics.
Yeah.
Didn't you face Todd Frazier in the Olympics in a matchup?
No, no.
Oh, I thought you did, but what has that been like for you to kind of is the atmosphere? Because this year, obviously, I felt like this year the World Baseball Classic was probably the most popular. You saw everyone really getting into it, and it was a really fun tournament.
Yeah.
But what is that like for you to kind of be able to pitch in that atmosphere compared to pitching in the major league atmosphere?
Oh, like as I say, Top Fraser is my brother, by the way. But I no face him in the work I no face him in the world class. I no face him either in the Olympic. But like I say, when you represent your country, like any kind of tournament, like Caribbean Series, World Classic, like before I get to the Olympic, the World Classic is like one of those, part in my career. I feel like outstanding because I say I want to represent my country. I want to face the best player in the world in the World Cup, And but after that, like a couple years ago, when we qualified to the Olympic, it's like the more amazing thing I had in my career. Like big league, world classy. But if you do put me to choice, who is the best? I gonna say the Olympic because the Olympic is like you're gonna see the best on the best in all sports. You know what I mean? And I feel like happy to represent my country to be. I win the bronze medal for the team, and I want to show the Olympic is the best part for my career. After the big league and the world classic.
Wow. Yeah, it was cool, man. It's neat that you get to see that experience. Like I said, the World Baseball Classic this year was incredible.
Yes.
Like everyone was super into it. Everyone watching the games. The US Japan game for the finals was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really awesome tournament. Well, Jumbo, I hate to have this come to an end because I've really enjoyed having you on, man. But thank you so much for giving us some time.
Thank
Um,
you guys for receiving me in your program. I feel so happy to talk to you guys and people from Cincinnati can hear about Jumbo.
yeah, is there? Are
Oh,
you
absolutely.
are you on the socials? Is there? Can Reds fans reach out to you anywhere?
Yeah, I had a lot of people like send me a message. Jumbo, we miss you here. Come back to Cincinnati. But I'm telling, I'm getting old. Like I'm still play, but I don't have that ability to. I had the ability to pitch in the game, but like when you're getting on, everything changed. And now you see the baseball change. We got like a lot of young talent, like put the big league like in the top. I have a fun watch the guy pitching, like throwing, hitting, like I say in the red, we got like the closer Diaz. He's
Mhm.
excited to see Diaz coming to the game in the last 3 hours. Like I say, he's comfortable. He feels strong. He say I can do every day, and the people, the team, the fan, trust him. He cannot do the job every day. He go to the mound. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like I say happy to be part of this program, and wanna say hello to the other people from Cincinnati or the fan. Say Jumbo love you. When they was there, like, I had a lot of love for the fan. Every time I go to the mound for me and my family, and I cannot remember that every day in my life.
Well,
Awesome.
now's the time to come to games. So come back to Cincinnati for a couple of days. We'll catch some ball games.
Yeah, maybe when they head back to the US, I wanna be sometime in Cincinnati because I have a lot of friends and family over there. They say, "Hey, come back here. We want you to go back to the game and see how the people react when they see you in the
Yeah.
stand."
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Absolutely.
We'd love it. Well, hey, man, all the best. Thanks again, and we got to do it again soon. We absolutely got to have you back.
Yeah, yeah. Anytime, I'm here for you guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate it, man.
Jumbo.
Thanks, Jumbo. We appreciate you.
Nice to meet you. Hello.
All right. Well, Ben, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
That was great.
That was awesome.
What a treat to have him on. I got to think Carlo Jorge, one of my best friends in the world, set that up for us. So definitely appreciate that. But we do actually have our next guest queued up. My good friend here, he's been on the show quite a few times to get us talk to us about the Reds and the Cubs. And by the way, those Cubbies are on a roll right now.
Yeah, man, 8-2 in the last 10, man. They're hot.
Yeah. So our good friend, you can check him out on Tap Sportsnet, Joey Ricotta. Joey, you're muted, but I want to say hello. And how are you, friend?
Hey, Tim, Ben, good to be here. Ben, this is the first time I think we'll be talking.
Yeah,
so
man. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm excited to be here, man.
Awesome.
What is this, the third time on the show?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm. It's a good time to be a Cubs fan after not so good of a time for a few months here. So I think this is the perfect time to do a show together with the Reds guys because it's a pretty big series coming up for us, and I'm sure you guys too. Just being now just taking over sole possession of first place. So. Yeah, how you guys been? How's everything?
Everything's great, man. We're excited to have you here. Obviously, like we said, the Cubs have been on a roll of late, winning 8 of the last 10. Just had their losing streak end today. Had their win streak end today with the loss of the Cardinals, as they shipped everyone out before game time was over. But I think we're all in agreement that no matter what happens this weekend, we're all happy to see the Cardinals are sellers and blowing it up.
Oh yeah. Anytime you can get the Cardinals to completely tear it down, which doesn't happen very often, if ever. It's a beautiful feeling, especially when it's happening during the game. Today, unfortunately, it's like, oh yeah, well, see ya. Just pack up your flight, pack up your stuff, get on the flight. Mid-game, as the Cubs just took care of business against you. As we've talked about before, that is the one team. The Reds are in interdivision, and you don't like the Reds and blah 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 because if you're a Cubs fan, but the Cardinals, we can always mutually agree on that we absolutely despise the Cardinals and that fan base. So, it was great, man. 8-game winning streak snapped today. I saw you guys took care of business against the Dodgers, which is awesome. Not for us, but it's awesome for you guys because that's exactly what you needed to do today.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Cubs to this point because, like you said, it was a little up and down year. The conversation has changed quite a bit with this team. So right now they're 53-52. They're 4 games out of first. They've won 8 of 10. Their run differential is insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So. It comes out this morning that they take Cody Bellinger off the trading block. Shocking. I don't know. He's only hit like 7,000 home runs at Wrigley this year. Sounds like Marcus Stroman also will at least be with the team through the season. But, where were you guys looking at this? Because, you've had guys come in who've been really good. Christopher Morel has been a lot of fun to watch. Mike Tauschman has been a lot of fun. But, were you kind of thinking, because let me backtrack this real quick. I said that if I could find a team to be 81-81 this year, it would have been the Cubs because where they were strong, they were incredibly strong. And where they struggled, where they were weak, it was very, very glaring. So what has this year been like now watching this team kind of put a little bit of a run together and seeing, also, keeping a former National League MVP who's a really good defender?
Yeah, I personally want them to lock up Cody Bellinger for a long time.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's a hot take. I don't think anyone else in Cubs land isn't thinking the exact same thing right now. They're all screaming from the rooftops. The problem is, as everyone knows, Scott Boras is his agent. So you're likely not getting a deal done in season, which is fine. But I think if you can come out of this, there's one big takeaway from this. You were the team that kind of was able to be the landing spot and the organization that was able to unlock Cody Bellinger or get him back on track. So I think in his eyes, maybe even in Scott Boras' eyes, because he still has to listen to his client, that's going to be a big emphasis, I think, when the conversation becomes, in the offseason, where do you want to go and how much money do you want and that sort of thing. And we know if the Cubs really want to spend, they can spend, right? So they will at least have that seat at the table, although I hate that saying because a lot of teams have a seat at the table and then the table gets ripped out from under them. But, but as far as this season goes, before the season, I said 84 and 78. That was my prediction. So your 81 win, 81 and 81, that's not far off. Juice with Cubs on tap with us, I believe he said 78 wins. So he was a little bit under that. And I think the biggest concern from a Cubs standpoint was the hitting. Where was the hitting going to come from? Did you have enough hitting? Because you really built the team around pitching and defense. Felt pretty good about what you had on both of those standpoints. But did you have the thumpers in the lineup? And that's been an issue for the most part going throughout the season until recently. I mean, throughout this stretch, like this 8-game winning streak, I think 7 of the 8 games they hit a home run. So it really goes to show you when they start hitting home runs, they can win just about every game because of the pitching and the defense. And a lot of that, like you're talking about with Mike Tauchman and those guys, great plays defensively, and Nico Horner and Dansby up the middle for defensive purposes. You got Gold Glovers pretty much all around the diamond. Happ and left. Bellinger now at first and center. Seiya has been great and right. So it's really just a matter of like finding those little holes. Like you were talking about, the glaring holes really have been third base and first base more than anything. So if Bellinger can play first and Tauchman can play center on more occasions than not against right-handed pitching, you find a third baseman, just one more bat somewhere. I think their chances are pretty good to really compete for this division in the wild card this year, even though on paper it looks like, oh, you just beat up on 2 really piss poor teams in the White Sox and the Cardinals. But you mentioned it. It's the run differential for me. I think the team is finally just starting to click, and the pieces are actually starting to get put together the right way from Ross, and guys are playing more consistent and staying healthy now.
Yeah, I think that's a run differential too. Like you said, I mean, it comes from your hitting, but it's also coming from how well your pitching has been going and your defense. So they figured something out there, like you said, where they built this team, and now you're starting to get the bats behind it. So it's interesting to see. And we all know, and when we get to the postseason, that's what wins ball games, right? Your pitching and defense. You've got to have some key hits here and there, but a lot of your postseason games are won by quality starts and solid defensive plays. So they've got something special going over there in Cubs land.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. This series is really fun because you guys, with Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McClain, and I'm sure you guys talk about it every show, but you got some fun players over there, and I think that you're really going to combine the two in this series and see, there's a lot to watch just without just the outcome aside, right? Whoever wins the series, we're going to see some fun moments. I can say almost 100% without a doubt. We're going to see some fun moments in this series, and I think that's what's cool right now. The division isn't as bad as what people thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Because now you're looking at 3 teams over 500, and okay, the AL East is the best division in baseball, but with that, what is it? Every team over 500. But I think we were pretty much looking at the division just a few weeks ago as like, hey, whatever team can finish over 500 might win the division. Yeah. It's not the case anymore, Yeah.
Well, the big thing is obviously, I'm not here to talk smack by any means.
Oh no, I'm here for it. I want to hear it.
So we have to at least know that Joey Votto is going to hit at least 1 home run at Wrigley because it's his first game at Wrigley this season. So that's a guarantee because he always hits bombs at Wrigley Field. The good thing for them, though, for the Cubs here is that the wall is not super far, so it decreases Ellie De La Cruz's chances of a triple quite a bit. I might be wrong there. He gets.
I was going to say, if he gets stuck in the ivy, bro, that's a wrap. That's
he's going to get a triple on like what looks like a double.
Yeah.
It's just he's insane. But you know what? The good thing for us is, or for the Cubs, Joey Votto will not get to face Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah.
He absolutely destroys.
Yeah, he does.
Because Hendricks pitched today. So that's the one part that I'm looking forward to probably the most is Hendricks was avoiding the series. But hey, man, it's gonna be fun nonetheless. Now we have just more problems to worry about on your guys' side. So,
well, I think the thing that's fascinating and what we've seen the Reds kind of do in this run of being really good with these younger guys, especially, you mentioned Ellie and McLean, who are just unbelievable. McLean's people will be like, oh, he struggled. And Ben and I joke, we're like, what, for like 6 at-bats? Like, he's just kind of been one of those guys, you know what I mean? But like, the Cubs have played good defense. Now we've talked about that. Do you worry that that good defense can kind of have issues with this speed and kind of lead to them making mistakes kind of through this series?
I think that's probably the worry about any team, right? Like speed always puts pressure on any defense, whether you're good, whether you're bad, whether you're mediocre. So I think that definitely could be an issue for the Cubs. Just kind of depends. I mean, it normally is about where the ball lands. I mean, I hate to say that, but and just kind of take a neutral position on it. But it's at bat to at bat, right? You don't know when it's going to come up. You don't know when it's going to be an issue, but it always could be an issue. I think the Cubs have been just really solid all across the board when it comes to defense, where really it's just a matter of like, will the speed play into it? I think for me, but you never know. I mean, third base, like if Wisdom's out there, that's been really shaky. So I think I would prefer to see a Madrigal out there just defensively. But I mean, a few weeks ago, I was like, man, can this guy, like early in the season, I'm like, I don't think he has the arm to play third base. And he's proven us wrong. So that's always going to happen. But I'm a little worried about that. But I think it also might play a factor for the Reds too, because the Cubs have some speed too. So
for sure,
both sides, it might level out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. How's old friend Tucker Barnhart doing? You guys, is he still hanging in there?
He's hanging in there. He's usually catching the Stroman starts, which, I like him just, the every fifth day type of role if he's catching back there. He does a really good job at framing. Obviously, you guys have seen over the years, calling the game. It seems like the chemistry's there between him and Stroh, and I like that. He's had a couple of, solid knocks here and there, but for the most part, the hitting has not been great. I know he was talking about making an adjustment recently. And I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't even remember what the adjustment is because he's just not a guy I count on at the plate as a fan. So I know that's terrible analysis, but
we know. We're aware.
I was going to say, we just shake our head because we know we're like, yep. Yeah. That's
so Jan and Miguel Amaya have been pretty pleasant surprises this year behind the plate. So if Barnhart wants to catch every fifth day and just continue that kind of trend with Stroh like he's been doing, I'm totally fine with that. That's cool with me.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Stroh, which I believe is tomorrow's. Is it Abbott versus Stroman tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yep. Good. Yeah.
Oh, that's a fun matchup.
It's Stroman Abbott.
That's good stuff.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Talk to me about Abbott. How impressed have you guys been? Under 2 ERA, he's got a quality start in just about every outing. Like, tell me what the vibe is in Cincy among you guys, among the fan base. Like, what are you guys feeling about him?
So obviously, when Lodolo and Green were hurt, there was a lot of concern. Ashcraft wasn't pitching very well at the time. So you read about him. You knew that he was from UVA, so he had a lot of really good experience pitching in big games in college. And he was lights out in Double-A, pitched 6 starts there, goes to Triple-A, has 6 starts, he's lights out. So you're like, oh, cool, this will be exciting. I think he'll be really good. I didn't think he'd be, second in pitching WAR in the National League since he got called up.
Yeah, I think that he's, with the injuries to Lodolo and Green, he's brought some stability to our rotation. So he's a guy that's there that you can rely on every start to go out and give you a quality start, to give you, you don't need a whole lot of run support. And he's a guy that you can put on the mound and feel like consistently he's going to give you quality every single time. So.
Yeah, Scott, one of our listeners, said here, if Abbott was pitching for a big and market team, he might be the Cy Young favorites over Spencer Strider.
Woo!
I wouldn't go that far,
No,
but I
you're
do think
saying-
he'd be in the conversation. I
Yeah.
definitely think he'd be in the conversation.
Yeah.
So Scott Crawford brings in, he says, this is the craziest series of the season since the deadline falls in the middle. Both teams could be completely different. I think, like, if you look at the series in May compared
Scott,
to now.
by the way, Scott is always on Cubs on Tap. He was just in our comment section when we did a show a minute ago.
Oh, cool. Well, welcome, Scott.
We tried to bring some Cubs fans over here.
I appreciate it.
You know,
Love it. Love it.
I appreciate it. Well, I'm a Bulls fan, so we still have that in common.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a great point. But how different do the Reds look from May to now is so fascinating as well. So
it's crazy. When the Reds went on their run, man, wow, it's not that you didn't see the talent kind of coming through the pipeline and the trades that you guys made and the deals, just the acquisitions from some of these guys too. But I was a little surprised with some of the aggressiveness, with Encarnacion Strand and some of these others. I wasn't expecting to see them when you guys started calling them up, but yeah. And then how do you predict that, right? Like Ellie could easily come up and just struggle and go back down and need more work and then need to come back, and Abbott too. So you really have gotten kind of a perfect storm of just like guys coming in and killing it off the bat. It's nuts.
And that's what we were kind of talking about before. Like, when was the last time you've seen a team have, all these different guys called up, Ellie, McLean, Abbott, all these different rookies be able to come in and actually come in and produce and produce to that leads to wins. Like it's been incredible.
Yeah, maybe for you guys the Chris Bryant group.
Right, I was gonna say the Chris
probably
Bryant group, the Cubs. Yeah.
That's a good comparison though. Like Ellie, like Chris Bryant when he was called up, it was such a surreal feeling, right? It was like you're waiting for it for such a long time, and you're just the anticipation is killing you alone. Like, how could you leave him down there for 2 to 3 weeks when the season starts, for service time? Like, get his ass up here. He's ready to go. Right. So then finally, when they come up and they start killing it, though, I mean, it's like, yeah, this is our future. We can get used to this for the next 5 to 10 years, whatever it is. It's a really awesome feeling as a fan, I think. And makes you feel better about like tracking as much, I don't know, like every fan is different. Every fan tracks on a different level, or like they don't pay attention to minors, they do, or they, only pay attention to their team and they don't pay attention to the rest of the league, or some of them do, but it's like however much time you've invested in your particular team, you feel vindicated, or you feel like the payoff, like it's worth it when you get these type of players and your team starts playing well, because it's like, yeah, thank you. I feel like I should be rewarded for my hard work here, sitting in front of the TV.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially, I mean, I talk all the time about, like, I kind of miss the WGN Cubs era. And not necessarily as a Cubs fan per se, but it was something where, if it's 2:00 in the Eastern time and it's like you're home from school in the summer, you need something to watch. You're like, oh, the Cubs are on. I did love when the Reds would go there and Griffey would hit a homer here and there and things like that. That was always fun to see.
Oh, I'm sure you love that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What were your thoughts? First off, I know you don't miss him because he's obviously having a fantastic year in St. Louis, but did you laugh when Wilson Contreras said that the Cardinals are a better organization than the Cubs, and then has been dog crap since then?
A little bit. It's hard not to. Everybody had their own different opinion about it. Like as Cubs fans, if you just look on, all you got to do is go to twitter.com and you could see the different opinions. But for me, I didn't really hold it against him because I'm like, it's his new team. He wants to come off, strong to that fan base, right? Who hates the Cubs. Like, you're kind of appeasing your new team and your new organization. And I kind of laugh because it's just hysterical to see how far down they have crashed this year. Like, everything has went to crap. Ollie Marmol's seat has to be on fire. I mean, everybody's seat probably, but I don't know how with that group of talent. Yes, the pitching came into the season very underwhelming, and that's really held them back too, bullpen especially. But man, I don't know. Like it should have been much better, I feel like, for their season this year, and it just makes me happy, man. It just makes me happy to finally see them suffer the way that we have to suffer every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking about that earlier. Like it was bound to happen at some point.
Yeah.
You know, it was bound to happen. One of our listeners actually did ask you a question. Scott Ruggiero asked, what was your take on the Hap Michaelis incident?
So, it's ridiculous, dude. It's fucking ridiculous. Michaelis is the biggest clown for this is my take, and I'm sorry if I'm coming off, I'll try not to cuss here on the show.
No, you're fine.
There's Scott. Yeah, Michaelis is a douche. To make it simple, he said in the comments. Not my words, but he's a clown for sure. Dude, why would you hit? Okay, so this is exactly what happened. Everybody saw it, but I'm just going to sum it up here. Hap has always had a long swing. Always has that long back swing. He doesn't always hit the catcher. But Wilson Contreras knows this. And I'm not blaming Wilson Contreras for getting hit in the side of the head. Stuff happens. It's baseball. He got cut open, left the game. Tough situation. You never want to see that. But him and Hap hugged before Contreras left the field. They hugged right in front of all the fans that were sitting behind home plate, and all that. And Michaelis, I don't know where his head was at. Was he not watching them hug? Does he not know that they played together for I don't know how many years on the north side of Chicago, and they're not good friends? They talk all the time, or at least message each other and talk quite a bit. So, the very next pitch, Michaelis throws and misses him. The pitch after that, the catcher's setting up outside, and Michaelis hits him. This is a guy with a 90th percentile walk rate. The guy doesn't walk anybody for the last 4 of the last 5 years. So, of course, it's intentional. Why are you trying to hit Ian Happ for something that's incidental? In the very first inning, you were going that hardcore when the guys just hugged it out afterwards.
Right.
So, anyways, I don't know. That was a long way of saying I think it was an absolute bitch move by Miles Michaelis.
Hey, we love it that you said it that way because we agree for what it's worth. Ian Happ, resident Reds killer, could really be appreciative if he could just struggle for 4 games. He could be awesome after that. But if he just wants to struggle for these 4, that'd be great. It's so weird, right? That it's 4 games at Wrigley and they're all night games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Crazy.
You usually see at least one day game, the Thursday getaway, or I don't get it.
Yeah, and the Reds play on Friday at home, so I get that it's not a long travel. One of my favorite places ever, Wrigley Field, but I actually haven't been since the renovations. I need to get up there at some point.
Hey, man, I got tickets. Let me know.
Yeah, would absolutely love it.
Taking a quick flight or taking a quick drive. I got Tuesday tickets if you want to go.
I just
can't go.
Yeah, I just went to Cleveland actually. Saw my first game up there. Saw the Guardians and the Royals last Tuesday. That's a cool stadium, actually.
I haven't been there.
It was neat.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a 1 hour and 59-minute game though.
Whew.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't like those quick games when you're going to the game.
Yeah. TV, love it.
Yeah.
So Ron asked my take on Wrigley Field. I love Wrigley Field. It's, so growing up, I grew up a Notre Dame football fan. So I would always go to I'd always go to Notre Dame games. Ben's been to Notre Dame games with me. And when you walk in that stadium, there's just a special feeling. And I think Wrigley's the thing in baseball that resembles that the most. Mm-hmm. It's just that we all grew up, we're all younger. We saw Rookie of the Year. So there's this scene when he goes to Wrigley and he walks up the steps and you see the scoreboard in center field. It's awesome. I love it so much. The food in the stadium, the Frito pie hot dog is I tell all my friends who are going up there, make sure you get one. Hopefully they still serve it, or I told them about something that doesn't exist anymore. But it's
not sure. Yeah.
I should
know that.
It's probably my favorite place to see a baseball game. I love Great American for what it is. I love being there. I love being there every 2 or 3 times a month. But there's just something about the atmosphere at Wrigley Field.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
would
good time,
agree with
man.
that. It definitely is that Notre Dame old like you can it's like hearing the echoes. Like it's really cool. Yeah,
Well, Ben just went to Yankee Stadium this summer too, so
I did.
Oh, how was compare it? Yankees. I won't. I've never been to Yankee Stadium, so
Now, see, I think it's a little different because it's new Yankee Stadium. Like if it were old Yankee Stadium, maybe it would be a little bit, but it's still dope. Like you walk down there and they got all the monuments. Of course, they've got everything with the 27 championships, and it's still surreal to be in Yankee Stadium just because of the history of that franchise. And Monument Park is legit. I mean, it's got all the of course retired jerseys and stuff, and yeah, you definitely feel that as well. But I think if it were old Yankee Stadium, it would have that feel. New Yankee Stadium still has that feel, but with Wrigley, it's all the ghost of Wrigley, and and the Billy Goat and all that, like all that history, man. Like it's just Wrigley's incredible. I think the nostalgia of Wrigley is more of that feel than the new Yankee Stadium. But Yankee Stadium was legit.
I've been to 3 games at Wrigley. The Reds have won 2 of the 3. But the one I went to, and I went in 2012 because I was following the team a little bit because they were about to clinch the Central. I was like, I really want to be there if they clinch in Chicago, or I really want to be there when they clinch in Cincinnati. They came back and clinched against the Dodgers. But Alfonso Soriano hit the hardest freaking home run I've ever heard in my life. I was on the third base line, like 8 or 9 rows up at Wrigley. And mind you, the Cubs were not good at this time. So this is one of those years where they're really, the record's not great. It's like September. But, fans still go to games because they love it. And I think that's awesome. I absolutely love that. So, mind you, this is a meaningless game for the Cubs. The Reds are up like 5-1. And Soriano just hits this bomb. And it was like you thought that they just hit a walk-off to clinch a playoff spot. And I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Fans get into it there, man. I'm one of them. But, yeah, the bleachers are like nothing else. Anywhere you sit, it's just, you got to watch out sometimes. Some days are crazier than others. But really, for the most part, people are just cool with you there. You go on the south side of town, Chicago, and somebody might try to jump you in the bathroom. That happened to somebody we know recently. So
that's scary.
Yeah, that's scary. North side, they're pretty cool. And like you said, it's the nostalgia. So I mean, I need to make it to Cincinnati though. That's my mission, to kind of go out there and watch a game with you guys, because I've never been to a game at Cincinnati.
That first Friday in September, they had the doubleheader.
Maybe. Let's talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll absolutely would love that. Particular names, with the trade deadline coming up. I know now it sounds like the Cubs are kind of leaning. Obviously, they took the 2 biggest things they had off the market in Bellinger and Stroman, and rightfully so. They should have, just to see if they can make a run this year. Are there names particularly been linked to them? You talked about the White Sox are apparently linked to moving a few of their guys. Tim Anderson's been a name that's come up a couple times. Is there anyone in particular you can see as a realistic target for the Cubs?
Yes. So Jamer Candelario with the Nats.
Oh, that would be great for them.
I think that's a real target. I think I don't know if they're willing to pay what it's going to cost to acquire him, but he would have the 3rd best OPS on the Cubs if he were on the Cubs right now, behind Belly and behind Morel. Plays great third base defense. I think he would be an absolute fit. He's a former Cubs prospect. He was with the Cubs. So, yeah, I kind of like that. Ron's here in the comments. Ron Luce, by the way, who's with On Tap.
I thought I noticed the name.
Yeah, we just did a show before hopping on here. I'm like, dude, I gotta go. I'm sorry, I cut off out of there pretty quick, and he had to finish it up there. But he must have did his own. I think he did his own preview of the Cubs Red series. But yeah, which, by the way, he wants me to talk to you.
Yeah.
We got to get you on our podcast for Thursday if you want. But you
Would
can
love
tell
to.
me if you're free.
Yeah,
We'll
would
talk.
love to.
All right. Well, then there you go. See, Ron, you got your
Look at
answer
that.
here on air.
Making things happen.
Making things happen. I don't want to wait because I'll forget, So, but no, yeah, I think Candelario would make a lot of sense. Depends on what they're willing to pay. Jed Hoyer and Carter Hawkins there for prospect pedigree and rankings. I think the left-handed relief pitching market is definitely something that the Cubs need to tap into because they really don't have a good lefty. Brandon Hughes was supposed to be that guy this year. He's dealt with all kinds of injuries, or he's just been on the IL pretty much all year. So right now, the rumors are like they've been linked to having interest in David Bednar.
Oh, yeah.
From the Pirates, who's not a lefty, but I would absolutely love that move. That would probably cost a top 10 prospect, hands down, in our system. So I don't know how I feel about that. But I would love David Bednar. Aaron Bummer is another guy from the White Sox, left-handed relief pitcher. He's really good, but I guess the White Sox are saying he's off limits and they're not going to trade him. Why is he off limits? I have no idea. He's a relief pitcher, and you're not in a winning season. So
Right.
I don't really understand that, but that's what sort of the word is. Mets left-handed pitcher Brooks Raley, I would love to see them kind of look at. A couple other guys here, like Detroit has some guys, but they're controlled through like 2028, 29. So I feel like the cost there might be a little bit too high, but we've seen a lot of deals in the past with the Cubs and the Tigers. So
Yeah.
just kind of putting together pieces there in my head of potential teams to trade with. Like a Jason Foley could make sense or someone like that. Colorado, I think honestly the most realistic thing is we're going to end up trading for a guy like Brad Hand because I believe it's just a rental here, if I'm not mistaken. He's not that great, but he's a guy that might be affordable. I think Brent Suter would be the best option as far as lefties go, but I know he's going to come at a cost. So how much do they want to buy? I kind of still prefer the soft buying route this year because, yes, the streak has been great. The run differential is great. I do think they can contend moving forward this season, but I also don't want them to mortgage all the work that they've put in to this farm system because I'm really high on a lot of the guys in the farm system. I think next year could be one of those really special years and, maybe the next 3-4 if you don't sacrifice everybody in that system. So I would like to see maybe a Brad Hand or left-handed pitcher, and we'll see. I don't know, Jamer Candelario. I don't know. What are you guys thinking for your Reds this deadline?
Well, you kept mentioning left-handed relievers, and this is why I was preaching once the Reds started getting hot, I was like, call Kansas City, get Aroldis back. Just put him there ahead of Alexis Diaz. That's your 8th guy to go in the 9th. No one's going to get a hit on them. And look at him now. He's freaking awesome in Texas again. He's kicking ass. He's like Aroldis Chapman of old, just about. He changed his mechanics back, and he's like striking people out again. I'm so mad about it. I'm so irritated about it. But I have been pitching a lot of Justin Verlander as an option for the Reds because they really, until Hunter Green gets back, they really do need that top end starter. And I guess they've been linked to him and Eduardo Rodriguez from Detroit, and Blake Snell has been the 3 names that have been coming up quite a bit the last couple of days. So I would love to get a top end starter. I think that makes a ton of sense for them because especially a guy like that, if you can get him to approve the no trade clause, because having Verlander and Votto with all these young guys to kind of help them be professionals, I think helps so much for a team that already has excellent chemistry. Those aren't guys you have to worry about ruining that.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned Brad Hand. I think he would be a great guy to have in the Reds bullpen because their bullpen has been good, but I also feel like it's like 2 pencils held together by a rubber band where it could just break at any time because I still don't trust anyone there besides Alexis Diaz.
That's kind of, yeah. We're similar situations, I think. I think the Cubs probably have a little bit of a better bullpen at this point because you have Merriweather and Leiter, a couple other pieces that kind of started to put it together, and they weren't early in the season. But Alexis Diaz is dynamite. Yeah, I mean, you're making a lot of sense there. I think you guys probably that would be your moves to be bullpen for sure. I'd look at or starter too.
Yeah. I think I just want Verlander for the sake of like having Kate Upton sit in Diamond Club at GABP every few days. My wife doesn't watch the show, so
Hey, maybe she'll join. You know, you never
I was
know.
going to say, man, hey, you never know when she's going to pop on.
Oh, I meant join for dinner. You know, I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
That's
All
it.
All right, so I feel like this series is destined to be a 2-2 series, doesn't it? Does everyone else does anyone think it goes the other way?
3-1 Cubs.
3-1 Cubs. Ooh. You have to say that though. You have to.
Yeah, it's Cubs in 4.
Yeah.
It's always Cubs in 4. No, I really don't know, man. I have no idea how it's going to play out. I think it depends. I think we might see a little boost with whatever happens at the deadline.
I do too.
Whatever happens with a deadline for each team, depending on if it's a pretty big boost or if it's a, lackluster, little bit of a like you should have done more type of feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know. You never know, though. It's baseball, man. Like, you guys could easily come in there and sweep us, and I'd be sitting here
vice
crying.
Versa.
Yeah. I was going to say, but yeah, vice versa for sure. And I think you bring up a great point, too. Like, there's a huge momentum thing with the trade deadline as far as I think both of our teams feel like there are certain moves that we could make because the Cubs are making a run, the Reds are making a run. And I feel like both franchises are in a spot where a move here or there could really benefit you, or a lack of a move could hurt you. So I think it's a pivotal spot. It's a pivotal series, and like we said, it's right at the deadline, which is very odd but very fun.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. Well, Joey, before we get out of here, because I've ran quite long on this episode, I feel like as my Chicagoan friend, I have to ask you about The Bear, because my wife and I are hooked on this show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I haven't really watched it.
My God. So I'm like, SummerSlam's this weekend. I always have people over for big WWE events. And so because of The Bear, I'm going to try my luck at making homemade Chicago-style beef sandwiches because of this show.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't know how it's going to go. It might be really terrible.
I love it. You need to is there a way you can, I don't know, what is it, freeze dry? You need to ship that to me somehow.
Yeah.
Like ship the homemade. I just need to try it,
The one thing I've been really excited about in The Bear, and this is me probably speaking Chicagoan with you, is that everyone, when they talk about Chicago style pizza, it's always Gino's, it's always Giordano's. But in that show, they advertise Pequod's, which every time I go to Chicago, that's my pizza stop. So I was pretty stoked about that. Guys are wearing Pequod's t-shirts. They're going to Pequod's restaurant. I was like, this show gets me.
Yeah. Dude, it's, my girlfriend makes some really good homemade beef too. And yeah, she had it for 4th of July. It's the au jus. The au jus. If you get the au jus right, you're probably going to. I mean, you got to still have good meat. Don't get me wrong, but get the au jus right. That's the one advice I'll give you for your homemade cooking.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, because it's since we had a baby, we don't go out to eat as much, so I just kind of been making more food at home. So this is now, yeah. We actually just got a couple hours away from us in Indy. They just opened up a Portillo's, so I was like, oh, I don't have to go to Chicago to get my Portillo's anymore. Perfect.
I feel like Ron is making fun of me in the comments here about au jus and au jus. People say au jus. I don't know what he's saying. Maybe I said that the wrong way. I always mispronounce things, so I feel like
man, it's au jus. You're good. Yeah, I'll back you on that. It's au jus. You're good.
Yeah. I was listening to him though. I just got distracted for a split second. I'm like, what? It's weird how I can see your guys' comments too, and I'm used to pulling them up on our screen.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
And then, should I have any faith in the Bulls actually being somewhat decent this year?
No.
Okay,
I
I didn't think
experienced
so. Yeah,
I'm not even a Bulls fan.
I mean,
I couldn't
well,
answer that one.
Yeah, I could ask both of you. Yeah, do you have a fan in the Bull? I just don't have.
Ben's a Pacers guy.
I'm a Pacer fan. I'm a Pacer
okay.
guy.
So they're always going to be good even when they're bad for 2 years. So
Yeah, I don't know, man. They just don't do enough, it feels like to me.
Never.
So, I know you watch the team pretty closely, Tim, but what direction are they really heading right now? That's my question.
They don't know. They have no clue.
I'm telling you, man, that Lonzo thing has shook that whole shit, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like
absolutely.
with Lonzo not being able to play, that's shooken the whole shit because he's the guy that was supposed to set the lineup for the next 5 years, and now he hasn't played in 3. So I mean, that is
Yeah.
But they relied too much on that guy to be, and they needed a point guard. But anyways, yeah, it's depressing. I don't want to think about winter sports yet. I don't.
Yeah.
Football.
Well, at least the Blackhawks are on the up and up, right?
The Blackhawks, yeah, they're on the up and up. They got,
Now I'm a Blackhawks guy. I'm a Blackhawks fan. So we did get the pick that we wanted, and hopefully things will be turning for the better.
I think he's going to dominate, man. I think
he will.
Really
I think he's going to be awesome.
But I will say, I've been telling everybody now. I don't know how much you guys buy into this. I'm a big football fan too, and Bears fan. But I've been telling people that as long as the Cubs are in contention here, football doesn't start until November.
True.
So that's true. That's true. Absolutely.
So my football knowledge is basically I watched the Bengals and I watched Notre Dame and nothing else. So I don't know about anything else. So Ben was like, hey, Justin Fields is going to be incredible. And I was like, okay, that sounds good to know. And sure enough, I put Justin Fields on my fantasy football team this year. And he was incredible. So I can't wait to see what happens when he gets receivers who can catch passes.
Dude, I think he's gonna have a breakout year, like super good year now with DJ Moore and just all the additions and just 1 year under the newer system,
My guy Cole Kmet got an extension.
Cole Kmet, yeah, Notre Dame guy, dude, he killed it last year, breakout.
Yeah.
So,
I know that was always fun because I had them both in fantasy football, and when people would like block the run, like for the run, he would just like float it to him, and I was like 12 points.
Yep. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Well, Joey, before we get into more Chicago and stuff, I do want to say, man, I love getting the chance to catch up with you. It's been too long, man.
Yeah, man.
Last year was not much fun to do a Reds podcast, so this year has been a lot more fun to have people come hang out. So
the feeling's mutual though. For hanging out, it's good to be here, but also it was disgusting last year for us too. So
yeah,
we're in the same boat. We ride together. It feels like now we're just gonna have winning teams together too.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, if the Reds and the Cubs are running the Central for the next 10 years, sign me up.
Oh,
sign me up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're like Wrigley South anyway when the Cubs come to town. So, it's fine. But hey, if anyone wants to hang out with Joey, get him some comments here. Anything you want to send to him. What's the socials, buddy? Where can people reach you?
At Joey Knows Nothing on Twitter, because most of the time I do know nothing. And at Cubbies on Tap on all social media platforms, at On Tap Sportsnet. Wherever. I mean, you can find us ontapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports stuff. And yeah, man, it's we just like talking sports. That's what we do. With whoever, whenever, doesn't matter. They keep me pretty busy over there, Tim. So
good.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's nerve-wracking. That's why the teams need to win that you want to win, because if they don't, it's the investment time like we were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, before the Dotsons get mad at us for running too long, we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up of the Late Night Reds here on the Riverfront. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with Ben and I. Thanks for coming on and hanging out with us to talk to Jumbo Diaz. That was a great interview that if you haven't had a chance, go check it out. Of course, I have to do it. If you're watching us on YouTube and you're not subscribed, take the 2 seconds to go and hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way for the show. If you're listening to us on your podcast app of choice, make sure you give us a nice solid 5-star review. Help out our buddies at On Tap Sportsnet. Give some Chicagoans some love because they give us some love as well.
Absolutely.
Check us out on the Riverfront on Thursday nights. Everyone have a good night. We will talk to you all soon.